Hello again, everyone. Today I am here to show you a really beautiful and special Pelikan fountain pen that I recently purchased from Pen Boutique. So I recently profiled another Pelikan that I got from Pen Boutique, and both this one and that one, which was the M205 Star Ruby, both of these were during a clearance sale on Pen Boutique. So there was an additional percentage off of the already on sale price. So for both of these models, this one especially, which is a little bit pricier, I felt like, it was down to a price that I might never see it at again. So I went ahead and got this one. This is the bright red color. This particular model is a newer version of a vintage model from Pelikan. And this one they are kind of trying to emulate the old style plastic that's here. It's really quite pretty. It has this big ink window here. I've already inked it up, so I will write with it today. And this has a fine gold nib, fine 14 karat gold nib. The nib design is a little bit more plain than some of the other gold nibs. And I will also bring out, just to give you a size comparison, because this is sort of like a pocket pen. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so that I can bring some others into the frame. So here is the red tortoise M600, and then here is an M400. So you can see it's about the same size as an M400, maybe just a little bit shorter, but obviously the cap is larger than the body when closed. I'm going to go ahead and show them to you open. So this does post, but it doesn't post super deeply, so it really makes the pen quite a bit longer when it is posted. So it's actually longer than, just slightly, than the M600 when posted. Or maybe it's about the same size, but it's longer than the M400 when posted, for sure. And if you unpost them, they're back to their original sizes, where the M600 is larger than the M400, which is larger than this M101N. So let me go ahead and put the caps back on. I'm going to put these back. Oh, except for that one, which I will keep out here, but let's cap that back up. And I'll show you how the pen came. So it came in this quite large box, actually. It seems like the more expensive the pen, the bigger the box. So here it came in this white box here, and then when you open up the box, it has a nice sort of vintage-like box inside, which has a little pull here. And it came with both the pen and the ink. So the pen was down here and the ink was up here in this slot here, like that. It still came in this cheaper version of the little holder though, without a button, so I was kind of surprised at that, but it seems like their packaging does vary. Alright, so I'm going to close this out and put this off to the side here. I'm going to put it in the bigger box, and then I will keep these boxes in case I ever plan to sell, but who knows. And it came with this Pelikan 4001 Royal Blue ink, which is what I have inked up this pen with. Now, going forward, will I continue to use this ink for this pen? I don't know, because 4001 ink is a little bit dry, but it is quite a pretty blue, and it writes pretty well with this pen. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a swatch of this ink in my swatch book, and then I'm going to test the pen out in my ink testing book. So let's go ahead and get the swatch book out. I've already laid it out. It's still open from when I did this writer's blood sample that was with the Pelikan M205. And let's go ahead and get in there with this one. And I would say that this is a fairly standard blue ink. It's pretty, but there isn't a whole lot sort of different about it. I would say it's a pretty standard writing blue ink, which can be pretty in its own right. I would say it leans a little bit more red. Like it's a warm red or a warm blue instead of a cool blue. Sorry, I'm trying to find my little napkin to wipe off my tool here. And I will put a link below to my ink swatch book, which details all of the tools that I'm using today and has links to all of those products in case you're interested. This is actually a different glass dip pen. It's actually a plastic dip pen that I'm using today. This is from Moon Man that I just got off of Amazon. The original video setup here has me using a glass pen from Rohrer and Klinger, which is a little bit better quality than this, but I just kind of had this one out, so that's why I'm using that. All right, so this is Pelikan 4001, and this is Royal Blue. And I'm going to rinse that off really quickly. It does seem like a fairly staining blue, but it doesn't have a lot of sheen to it, or any sheen really. So it's still staining in spite of that though. All right, I'm going to close up this bottle, and then I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And then I'm also, as I mentioned in that last Pelikan video, I have been doing little writing samples of pens that particular inks are in. Just one. I'm not doing all of the pens that I've ever put that ink in. But this way I can see how things might have a little variation with different line weights and that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and put this down here. So this is a Pelikan M101N in bright red. With a fine nib. Okay. So there you go. It's a really pretty blue. It's still a little wet, but you can see around the edges where it has dried what it'll look like. And I might bring this out again towards the end if it's dried a little bit more. So let me go ahead and get my swatch book here. And actually, when I did this other one, I forgot that I had a whole list in here of Pelikan writing samples, which I think that I will try to go on that page so that you can see the comparison between the different models. Now I've forgotten where it is, and I use these pages to death, so let's see. I didn't find it. Let's see. I may have just skipped over it because I think I skipped some of these pages in the beginning here. Okay, here we go. And then I made a little list to myself of which pens I need to clean and all of that. But so I'm actually going to bring out the Pelikan M205 as well and do a quick sample of that. And then I will do a sample of the new one here. So let me go ahead and post that. This is the Pelikan M205 in medium. And this has diamine writer's blood in it. Very beautiful. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this new one. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for that. And this one has a really beautifully smooth 14 karat nib with a fine nib. And you can, again, get a little bit of variation depending on how hard you press. It's a little bit flexy. And the ink in here is the Pelikan 4001 Royal Blue. All right. So I will zoom out yet again so that you can see all of these different Pelikans together. See, I can cover that up so you don't have to see all my little messy notes to myself. And then I'm going to bring this up close to the camera so you can see that there. And let's go ahead and do just a brief writing sample here of the Quick Brown Fox. Underneath this other one for the Pelikan M101N. So this is the Pelikan N, the fine nib in bright red. And then printing. All right. And I will put that up close to the camera. So you can see it's a fine, but there's not a whole lot of difference between the line that results in the medium up here and the fine below. But I will say that that M205 fine nib is much wetter than this fine nib, which is not a dry nib by any means, but the one up above is wetter. And part of it is also the ink I'm using, because the 4001 is fairly dry. The diamine writer's blood, which I'm using up above, is pretty wet, but even with that you can tell that the fine nib is not as wet with this 14 karat nib. All right, well, that's all I had for you today. Feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. I hope to see you next time, but in the meantime, have a great day. Oh, actually, before I go, this one has dried a little bit, so there you go. So you can see it pretty much fully dried. All right, so that really is it. See you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.